That is these are the two main cases connected with the 2G, which are important. I have also one very important case which is not connected with 2G, and that is that the electronic voting machine was rigged in the last parliament election where Congress got 90 extra seats. I have managed to show prima facie evidence of this in court. And the court then asked me, what is it that we can do, order the election commission to do, which will make you satisfied the electronic voting machine cannot be rigged. And I said, if they give like the ATM, they give me a receipt. So now the election commission has agreed to give receipts and prepare the machines. The formal order for that will be passed on the 17th of August. There are some other cases. I have given to the Prime Minister a 221 pages document asking permission, asking sanction to prosecute Sonia Gandhi on Bofors. And that the Prime Minister is still sitting on it. So as soon as I go back, I'll go to the Supreme Court, and because in Bofors it is she who's centrally involved, and Rajiv Gandhi certainly abetted it, but the money went to Sonia Gandhi's brother-in-law, two brother-in-laws. She has two sisters and their husbands. But once they got the money, they divorced the two girls and went away. So the sisters are now divorced. So, therefore, I think Sonia Gandhi has to answer. And to be surprising, the entire Bofors investigation, Sonia Gandhi was never interrogated. So, this is another matter which I'll file a fresh case when I go back.
Last question comes from Arya Samaj of Houston. They thank you for being scathingly honest with your views on corruption and the situation in India today. The question is, will fixing it at the top work? Isn't the fabric of India all distorted by now?
Well, I am still very confident that the ordinary people are still sound. And this, I base it on number of developments over the years. People told me how Indian people will understand democracy. But when the voting came, they voted Indira Gandhi out. They voted Jayalalitha out in 1996. They voted Karunanidhi out this time. They voted out the Marxists in Bengal. So all this public is, all the Yadavas voted for Nitish Kumar in Bihar. They do not vote for Lalu Yadav. So I think I have much greater confidence in the armed public of India than the elite of India. The elite has become westernized, become totally materialistic. And some of them have become sickeningly. Look at this Ambanis. They have built a 27-storied house for a small family. This is ridiculous. And this kind of crass materialism is in the elite level. There I have no hope from. But the general public, they are very sound. We may be illiterates, but we are not uneducated.
How do you restore your personal secret?
Well, first of all, let us be clear that there are a number of instances where personal security itself has killed the person who is supposed to be protected. Indira Gandhi was killed by her own security. Recently, that Salman Taseer of Punjab governor of Pakistan, he was killed by his own personal security. I think Karzai's brother in Kandahar was also recently killed by his personal security. So I don't think personal security enhances security. What we need to do is know the modus operandi of people who want to harm you. And one of the things is they would like to see that they are not caught or things are not traced to them. Of course, ultimately you need the support of God. If you are destined to live, you will live, no matter what happens. I've known where a plane crash took place and only one person survived. Now, how did he survive? The building is collapsed and baby is survived. How did that baby survive? So, one is that, but more important is that if you know the modus operandi and you have friends all over, and I do have, normally people don't publicize their enemies and publicize their friends, but I do the opposite. I publicize my enemies and don't publicize my friends. So I have friends who also are very much concerned and they look after me, but ultimately all the good wishes of the people gets translated into a message to God, and therefore I'm quite confident it's not so easy to do what people want to do.
Swamy, wonderful lecture, and of course it kind of goes back to your book on Hinduism under siege.
Yes.
And one of the things that we as students of Swami Dayananda Saraswati were very empowered was he was saying the slogan that Hindu vote is sacred. But this message has to go to the masses. And how do you foresee this happening? Because one thing I can hope is if that happens, we might see you as a Prime Minister of India. I think that would be a great occasion.
See, I think these events that are happening, like this Bombay incident now, coming at the background of a large number of incidents, they will evoke that sentiment, and then it will be unstoppable. After all, in the Ram movement, which there's been disappointment that the BJP did nothing afterwards, the Ram movement propelled BJP from 2 seats in 1984 to 186 seats in 1998. So, I think in India, people take a long time for something to ferment, or what we in Sanskrit call as manthan. Manthan takes place, but that manthan is going on today. And I am 100% certain that the next election will be fought between Hindutva and anti-national in this countries. In our country. That's what I think.
Sir, my question is little partisan, but parties are involved in politics. You know that Karnataka governor has given sanction against Karnataka CM for prosecution, and Karnataka CM has challenged that why he has given the permission. So, starting from your first point of your lecture, what do you think?
This coal scam, this CWG scam, I think Yadurappa scam is like a traffic violation, if you ask me. I mean, I can't be exercised about that. He was caught, what happened was wrong, but he has returned the land, and I will not waste time on pursuing Yadurappa, because I don't think that in this perspective I should disperse my energy. I get a lot of people writing me all letters, why don't you take up this case, why don't you take up that case? It's not possible for me to. I have an opinion that Mr. Yadurappa is being targeted by Congress because they want to divert it. He has definitely, there is no doubt that his sons what they did was wrong, but this discretionary quota is being misused so many times. The only solution is that this discretionary quota should be ended. And Mr. Yadurappa admits that his son should not have got it, and he has returned it. So I would rather not give it any kind of priority. And as far as Bhardwaj is concerned, he is a crook of the first order himself, and a big chela of Sonia Gandhi. And if I were to bring out all his corruption, you will make your hair stand on end. I don't believe anything he does. If he's giving sanction, it must be for purely political reasons.
Good evening, Dr. Swamy. Great to talk to you on a day when your article in DNA back home is creating uproar in all social networking sites. Anyway, my question to you is, how do you think that the office of Jan Lokpal will not create more red tapeism back home?
More what?
More red tapeism.
Red tapeism.
Yes.
Well, the opposition, I told you that as far as it's not opposition, it is Hazares, Anna Hazares. Jan Lokpal bill is the only point on which I feel that it's something you can take a stand on. Whether Prime Minister should be included or not, Prime Minister is included in the Prevention of Corruption Act. He is not excluded there. So I don't think you need specially to mention in the Lokpal that the Prime Minister is also covered. And consequently, the only thing that is of value is the independent public prosecutor, and that is to reduce red tape and not to increase it.
Swamy,
Yes.
good evening. It's a wonderful lecture. My question goes back. You really scared Ms. Jayalalitha in Tansi case. Really, she came out of that Chief Minister post and appointed some other person, and kind of people have forgotten the Tansi case. And now, do the same thing happen in 2G scam? Just 21, even if they full penalty, 21 years they need to see just 4 or 5 Lok Sabha session. Again, do they come back to power? Do they do another mischievous thing?
Well, as far as the Tansi case is concerned, 2G's case, there's a fundamental difference. As far as Tansi case is concerned, I launched that case. I got her sent to jail on that issue. And then Karunanidhi became jealous that I was getting all this publicity. He, as Chief Minister and a beneficiary of my campaign against Jayalalitha, he then suddenly said, no, all these cases will be handled by the state government. And since in those days, the state government was just newly elected, so the courts also said, yes, the state government can handle it. Swamy doesn't have the requisite staff to continue the prosecution. And they handed it back. And then after that, Karunanidhi must have made a deal with Jayalalitha that, of the loot you made, give me 30% and I'll let you go. And that's how she escaped. This one, the CBI is directly under the Supreme Court. And I am a petitioner in the Supreme Court. And therefore, it's not comparable at all. And I can tell you that 2G will not go. And let's not all the time think that because in the past something went wrong, in the future it will also go wrong. We worry too much about these things. You see, if my wife is pregnant, if the child is born and its nose is twisted, who will marry that child? I mean, you start worrying about it even before the child is born, you see. I don't think we should worry these things. The 2G is a commitment of the country. And I think we are completely differently placed, and therefore the repeat of that will not take place.
Just quick question. What do you think about this National Advisory Council? The way they put all these recommendations, that will totally make us prisoners.
Well, it is a body to give her cabinet status, and whether it is legal or not, nobody has so far challenged it. But the real problem is not the National Advisory Council, it is the fact that the Prime Minister is unable to stand up to Sonia Gandhi. That is the real problem. The rest of the Congress party also doesn't stand up to her. That's where the real ills come in the country, in governance. And I think that's where it needs to be corrected. In NAC, you have one more council that is there. It doesn't matter, you have national security, NIA, this, that, so many others. I don't think these things will make a fundamental difference.
Dr. Swamy, thank you. I mean, you are doing a tremendous job. We have just 2 more questions, I think, and then we'll try to wrap it up. This question and one more last question from.
My question is, why can't India change its name to Bharat?
India's name is already changed to Bharat. It's there in the constitution. India, that is Bharat. What many people ask is why it can't be named Hindustan. That is a separate issue for which you need a constitutional amendment. But as far as Bharat is concerned, it is in Hindi, whenever a circular comes in Hindi, it will be Bharat Sarkar. It will not come as the Indian government or the Republic of India.
I think this should be the last question. I'm not.
Namaste. Question is, since Nehru-Gandhi family has looted so much from 1947, why don't we have a movement to remove Nehru-Gandhi dynasty and get rid of them?
Well, let's all take a pledge that there will be a Nehru holiday. So, if that gets translated, you will see. Let's see what happens in the coming elections. I think what you have just expressed, it seems to be a general sentiment. Even in India, they bahut ho gaya, inka chutti karo. See, so I think you will get your wish. Only the thing is that they should also pay for all the things that they have done wrong, right from Kashmir in 1947, right up to today. On terrorism, they have done so many things against the country. They have to be made brought to account for that.
Dr. Swamy, just one more last question, very quick one, just one.
Respected sir, what is your opinion on smaller states in India?
What is your opinion on? Smaller states? Oh, I am in favor of them. I think India should have 50 states. All the smaller states are doing better than before. Uttarakhand is doing much better than before. Chhattisgarh is doing much better than before. Jharkhand is doing much better than before. I think we need 50 states. Telangana was due long time ago, 1956 itself. And Telangana should be definitely conceded. Vidarbha should be conceded. What is wrong? They are all within the country. Why should we not give? It's usually vested interests who are objecting to it. I think the small states are necessary wherever there is a substantial demand. I have already told you in the very beginning that 14th May there is at Herman Park 14th August in Herman Park near Gandhi statue there is a demonstration. Since people from other parts of the country in the United States are also looking forward to
Very brave, very erudite, very knowledgeable. Thank you for coming. I would
just take 1 second to thank Mr. Pradeep Parekh, who has been single-handedly put together this program, and he has been an inspiration to work with, and he has done a tremendous job. So big hand for Mr. Pradeep Parekh as well.
I would ask Pradeep ji to please give a few closing comments to close this session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I really want to say thank you to Dr. Swamy. He has traveled long distance to deliver a splendid message that we all needed to hear, and to work with people like my colleagues at Hindu Mahasabha, Dharminder and Rudranath and Dilip Bhai and all those, Jai Shah, makes it a pleasure, really. So thank you again, and please support Hindu Mahasabha.